All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Monday afternoon to close out the month, not the week. I usually say that to end off the week, but to end off the month this Monday, January 31st. Great to see Chuck, great to see Norman, Grant, Gary, all of our students and members alike inside the cyber group room. And hey, once again, if you're joining us back on our social streams, Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back as well. So, folks, of course, we always have a lot to talk about here today across the afternoon, but we have to move quick. We have Fausto's advanced class coming up at 3:05 Eastern time. For all of our students inside the trading room. Of course, that's the phase 3 stock course. So I know that Rich just posted the link for that just a moment ago in the chat board there. Make sure that you just can click the link, get in early, make sure that you're squared away yourself with the audio and tech. But nonetheless, I know Fausto is prepping up for that class as we speak. Just left his office a moment ago. So for right now, the IINN trade, it's on the screen here to begin, right? IINN ended up making a nice push up in pre-market. News came out, and to be transparent, and it's not to be ignorant really, but I don't remember the news that came out. I'm sorry, folks, at 9 o'clock Eastern time this morning. The reason I say that is because we don't look to trade solely or primarily because of the news. If you were jumping into this stock only or mainly because the news came out, I think the news that came out, to be exact, they ended up announcing that they had signed an exclusive summary distribution agreement worth $212 million for over a 7-year period. All right. Well, if you're basing your entry solely because of that news, look how long it took for you to even get this little inch up right now up to resistance off of 320, 325, namely here, and the opening print as well. So, hey, I like this move for the afternoon. About time this thing decided to make a move here. But, I just hopefully it doesn't go the other way. It still hasn't broken a true higher high just yet. So we'll look to see if it can make that move later on today. The IINN stock, at least for right now, we'll put this on our main watch list here. All right. So otherwise, as always, what we'll do is just go right from top to bottom, see if there's any other stocks that we could look to focus on, at least heading into the close. And with that, we'll start right from the top here, the KSCP trade. Now, this one was tricky. This one was pretty wild, much like it was back from Friday, the end of last week. But it's to say this, folks, off of such a big mover early on, we're not really trading the first 3 to 5 minutes. So unless if you jumped in right off this breakout here, which I don't think anyone really did in our room, it's tough to try and make money on this make money on this pop here. It made such a big move so fast, it ended up getting halted, but look what happened after. Ended up completely dying from that point, pulled back down from 24 to 1850, just nearly a 5 point move there. We're not expecting this second wind type of run up. I mean, hey, we'll be watching it. We'll call it out if we start to see signs of life, but we're not banking on this KSCP trade to run up to 27 by 1 p.m. in the afternoon. We're just going with the flow. So throughout the late morning, as we were just kind of flipping through our scanners here, watch lists, we turned back to this, and at the time it was beginning to make a push back up over 21. So long story short on this is that, well, after this pop at least, it never broke lower. It ended up holding support really well after that pop, and that is what led to the next run up towards 27 there. It's a new IPO, so it doesn't really have much historical, charting to work off of here. So this is technically all-time high territory today, or at least off the high of 2750. It's got a huge spread. So I could put this on our watch list if I really feel the need to. And at the end of this meeting, maybe I will, but otherwise, though, we'll hold off and we'll see if there's just stocks that look a lot better in terms of liquidity or just even direction right now. All right, so Kala is number two. It's a cheapie below $1, unless if it's really taking off, folks. I'm not going to be as inclined to follow it. Let me know if it is taking off. But oh my goodness, how about this? I don't have too much time to use here, folks, but this is a nightmare for anyone that suffers from trader's dyslexia. I don't know if you see this. Number 4, BSET. Number 5, BEST. You've got to be kidding me with that. I mean, that's pretty nuts. I mean, this one, at least best, we're actually somewhat familiar with. This stock we ended up trading more off than on, but going back into the end of last year, ended up running up pretty nicely for us from like 1 or 150, even that was up to over 2, nearly 250 at the time. Ended up snapping right back down though, and ended up just getting crushed over the remaining parts of last year and this year. So I don't know. This stock's also a cheapie here. Just wanted to look at it based off the name. MIGI, not to be confused with MGI, but this one also, I guess, at the highs as well. Pass on it right now. It's not trading a whole lot of volume per minute. TKLF, much like, which was it from today? The IINN, much like the IINN, this stock is just a chop fest. It ended up just consolidating across most of the morning, you could say. Ended up making a bit of a breakout going into 11 o'clock Eastern time off of 385 resistance. Ended up running up pretty nicely from that point, and thankfully it held support really well here at $4. So, in line with the IINN, it seems like this is trying to make another push back up. I don't mind at least putting this back on our list for right now, the TKLF, in hopes of, a cleaner move up from this point. I think one of our students, Brian, called out the PRVB trade. This was earlier, right around 1 o'clock, 1:15 Eastern, heading into the afternoon. Ended up running up pretty nicely, but not a whole lot's happened since. So I'll pass on this year too. All right, so let's kind of just skim through. Otherwise, we had the FGI trade from earlier today, which did pretty nicely at first, but ended up dumping back down. Even the second win type of pop here, I was expecting the pullback shortly after. I took my eyes off this stock for the last 5 or so minutes, but right now it's doing exactly what I thought it was going to do. And with that, unless it was shortable, we're not going to put this on our list here. Ride. How about this? Shout out to Lori, one of our students. Lori picked up a really good trade on this. Let me just get her private chat up with me here. She got 13 cents, no, 18 cents. My apologies, Lori, on the ride trade. She entered at 271 from this morning. So, hey, she had a really nice catch on this ride. She also traded the workhorse stock that moves alongside ride, doesn't it? I mean, hey, Workhorse also is up near 20%. We would have found this on the gainers list anyway. Both are kind of making lower highs for right now. It seems like it just ended up slowing down a little bit heading into the late morning, the early afternoon from the initial run up. So, hey, we love trading these stocks, especially when there's more momentum and news based off of it. This one still seems kind of healthy. It's, lower high, but higher low, maybe setting up for another pop here. But I want to see if there's something even looking a little bit sharper, something trading with a little bit more volume per minute, perhaps, something that is making a stronger push. Mavis, former runner here, MVIS, not really looking that great as well. Johannes says the plug trades at the high of the day. PLUG, that was the stock that Fausto was doing pretty well on, at least from the phase 3 class earlier this morning. We'll look at that coming up. With the market up a lot right now, folks, I would only imagine for there to be, a bunch of different side list stocks that we could focus on the gainer side here. One of them is NEO. NEO ended up making a really good push today. I mean, I guess you could say with plug and with FCell and all of the other EV affiliated or related stocks, right? I mean, hey, Ride and Workhorse, right? NEO looks pretty sharp for the afternoon. Ended up just making a nice little 50-cent bounce from 24 up. So NEO in particular, I'll put on our watch list. Fausto may fire me if I don't put plug on the watch list here for the afternoon. And I'm joking when I say that, 100% joking. I feel quite safe with my job. But nonetheless, plug, with this near the highs, at the highs right now, I think Fausto would be pretty disappointed if I don't. So plug we'll put on our list. Fuel cell, FCEL, it's like watching the grass grow. It's tough to put this one in particular on our list, even though they move, similarly. I feel like the plug trade has a little bit more life to it. One's a lot more expensive than the other, of course, and that could be a good reason as to why the chart looks a lot more active. But I'd rather follow that plug trade out of the two, if anything. All right, NEO's on our watch list. We talked about that just a moment ago. Sorrento, SRNE, former runner, and we ended up seeing some sort of movement on this in pre-market last week, and it was a bit of a bust. I think this was what I was referring to. Ended up making a nice run back up today, though, and for right now, at least making a lower high. So not too particular about Sorrento here for the afternoon. A couple of other known names on the gainer side before I hop over to the losers list here. Data kind of flat. BKKT, not as flat. I mean, you could say lower high, but perhaps building a higher low right now. It's much closer to the highs right now compared to a lot of these other stocks here. BKKT, don't mind if I do. I'll put this on our watch list here, kind of towards the bottom for right now. All right, TGTX, actually just saw this one here pretty quickly before we hop over to the losers list. At least this is more of a familiar name to us here. Not doing a whole lot right now. That's all right. We'll pass on this here. All right, so today is Monday. I know today is phase 3 class, so I got to be quick with crypto here, but we will talk a little bit about Bitcoin in particular before we finish up. IMPP. You never turn a day trade overnight, folks. This oftentimes is what happens. So ended up making a pretty good pop going into Thursday and Friday from last week. But at this point right now, it's really, I mean, obviously from the news that came out this morning, ended up just getting crushed. But, you know, if there's ever an example that you need in order to realize, hey, we shouldn't look to carry a day trade over into the next day, there's a clear difference between a swing trade and a day trade. And you, the trader, should know that instantaneously upon getting into the trade. Like that's just part of your game plan, right? So if you held on to this into the weekend, even from Thursday into Friday, God bless, that would have worked out for you. But that's not what we do here at CTU, right? I mean, can't find gold twice, right? So if that happens once and it works out in your favor, I mean, look what happened literally the next day. So unfortunately, this one took a big drop off. Bunch of stocks hard to borrow otherwise, though, on the top of the losers list. I mean, including we have the ETFs, UVXY, SQQQ. So, of course, markets are still pushing up right now. That's why these ETFs are on the losers list here. I'll tell you, that's all I got on the losers list, folks. Just ETF City here. That's all I got, really. I mean, maybe IMTE. Oh, that's an ETF, LABD here. Where was it? IMTE? No, this one's not looking too good. All right, folks, if there is anything else up, down, left, right, more than 5% that you would want me to check out or look at here quickly before we finish up, just type it in the chat board. Just let me know. From John M. I'm going to go from bottom to top here, guys. So I'm sorry, but John M. and then Michael. So MTTR up 16%, trading at 29,000 shares per minute. That's actually really good. So this one, I don't think I found on the gainer side, or if I did, I could have skipped over it. So I appreciate the shout on this MTTR. The thing that I'm not a fan of is that it's beginning to pull back down right now since 2:30. I mean, if this was not dumping off and if it was holding stronger towards the highs that it recently made heading into the early afternoon, I would be a lot more keen to follow this. This could be on our side list for right now. John, not a bad call. Mike says SOXS semiconductor ETF getting beat up. Yeah, that's with the market moving up. So this cheapy ETF is dropping off today. We're not going to focus on ETFs though. We know that. Plug still pushing. That's on our list. Fuel cell, again, that one's a little slow. So that's the reason why I'm kind of against it. But if that has more momentum from this meeting onward, then I'd be pretty particular about fuel cell too. IINN pop. There we go, Deb. Great call. And this one I said was on our list for the meantime. And this, definitely helps us, anticipate a run coming up. Now it's got to hold here and begin to make a better move over time. If this comes right back down underneath major resistance, then that's a bit of a red flag. So this will be on our list, and this pop here definitely, this pop here is definitely a good sign. We'll see if there's more to it. All right, folks. I'll do a little crypto, a little Bitcoin at least, if anything. And then from that point, if there's any last stocks that are making a bit of a move up or down, left or right, then we'll just check it out here. Oh, whoops, wrong chart. Give me a quick sec. That was the Bitcoin dominance chart that I showed from Friday, but I was more so interested in showing just the regular Bitcoin to USD. All right, so I got a bunch of lines on this chart, folks, so I apologize if it's a bit overwhelming. But since Friday last week, not a whole lot's happened. Nothing really too eventful that's happened, folks, over the last 72 hours. Bit of a slingshot, perhaps, with the markets. Crypto or Bitcoin ended up dropping off a little bit from like 37.7 down to right around 36.6 here, this low of the day, and then ended up pushing right back on up. So, as of right now, it's still within this consolidation area. The bigger talking point that I've been trying to allude to is the eventual retest of the 500 EMA on the daily chart, and I'm expecting that to be major resistance. So if there is any sort of really good news that comes out at any point this week, or that could change that theory, great. But if not, then I am expecting, as of right now, for this orange line here, the 500 EMA, to be a major resistance. Not only the EMA, but these just horizontal support levels that we're holding pretty nicely as support or as resistance, either way. So that's just right around 41,000 as is. All right. So that's what we'll focus on this week. But otherwise, not a whole lot to write home about in crypto land. That's all right. But folks, if there's anything else lastly that we didn't really touch upon just yet, anything that looks pretty good otherwise, then let me know. Going once, going twice, going three times, and I'll tell you what, folks, I think that we're just about good, because if there is anything else, that makes a big pop or big drop from this point forward, I know I'll be back in the trading room at 3:30 myself. I know Rich will be on the mic coming up at 3. We'll look to make those call outs. We'll look to rescan the market a lot more seriously at that point. We'll see if there's any other big movers that pop up after 3 p.m. All right. I'll finish up lastly, I reckon, by going through the airlines and cruise lines, which I didn't do just yet. So we'll look at American, we'll look at Carnival, kind of just making these rounded tops right now, flattening out. So they're not as sharp looking, at least as of yet, compared to the plug or the fuel cell, or the Neo trade. Of course, that one was looking pretty good just a moment ago, and the couple others that we have otherwise. All right. So for all of us on Facebook Live or on YouTube joining us here today, I appreciate you joining me each and every day, each and every afternoon. If you have any other questions or comments or any suggestions, feedback, points of frustration with your progress thus far, you got to let us know. And I usually say that to all of us live inside the cyber group room when I sign off. But that goes across the board for all of us on social media too. So for Facebook Live and for YouTube, I just post my email address right there on the stream, josh@ctutrading.com. Any questions that you have, just let me know, and I'll be more than happy to write you back. All right. But for Grant, Michael, Norman, Johannes, Leda, Scott, Ray, Brian, and all of us otherwise live inside Cyber Group, I know that Rich just repost that class link one more time. So for phase 3, the advanced trading course with Fausto, lesson number 2, make sure that you folks click that link just to get access in the next 10 or 12 minutes before he starts. All right. But otherwise, I'll be back on the mic, folks, like I just said, right around 3:30 Eastern, taking you into the market close. I'll talk to you soon.